So Mee-Yan, one of the key messages of your talk is this idea of the use of self. So who am I as being a core tenet of OD? Can you explain why that is?
Well, because in applied behavioral science, we're dealing with real people behavior, and because people come in all sorts of form and diversity, culture, gender, race, and class, you cannot actually turn the people you work with into a formula. So you never know what you get. You know, when you run a big focus group, or when you run a summit about co-construction, or when you're building team, whatever level of work you do, you can only plan so far in terms of what's the structure of the day, whatever. But all you need is someone come up and say, this is completely doesn't work with me, for me, and therefore, how do you actually bring things back on track in order to support the group to deliver what they need to deliver? And at that moment, all your methodologies might help a bit, but actually it doesn't. And what you need is to begin to say, what is in my goodies bag, and what's my commitment to this group and to that person? And then being very conscious of those dynamics, and then make deliberate choice with very clear intention. So I'm going to go in and do this in order to restore the group dynamics back to a functional place so that they can continue to work. And that's where the concept of use of self is not about using methodology, but about me. So I was born as number 8 in the family. There's no voice in a hierarchical Asian family. But when I start working with people who really abuse other people, they're very senior. And therefore, in that moment, you have to say, what's my value system? And what is the greater goods for these people? And what's my choice? What can I deliberately do to actually disrupt this process? And therefore, that is why use of self is so important.
In your talk, you gave us 5 key messages around what HR can learn from OD. Can you share what those are?
So HR is primarily a content-driven kind of profession, and people need the HR people know the law, the employment law, and the technical area. But in executing their role, they still need to deal with the stakeholder, the board, and the staff, and the trade union. So what will be very helpful is they begin to actually understand the human processes. How do you work? And therefore, knowing a little bit more theory, because there's a lot of amazing theory that give us a guideline and say, wow, this group really don't understand what's going on. I need to create a dialogical space for them. Okay, dialogical theory, tell me these are the steps. Because theory would help them instantaneously do real design. The second thing is they need to be system thinker, because you can introduce all sorts of HR policy and practice when it doesn't fit into what the strategic ambition of the organization nor will benefit the constituency. So my slide about the red dot, when you're asked to do one thing, you need to think about, okay, this is a part. What is the whole? What is the greater whole? So the second thing is, how can we actually help them? And also when they support change within the big system framework, if they change this, do they need to adjust that? Do they need to adjust that? The bodily kind of analogy helps. And the third thing is HR get a lot of bad treatment. And if I were them, I'd be grumpy. But how do we actually help HR people to understand human behavior is not really personal? It's about them making statement about who they are. So how do you turn judgment into curiosity, blindness into seeing? So I think the third area that would help HR a lot is to become more savvy. The fourth is very important. HR people, just like anybody, spend more time in meeting. And within meeting, there's a group dynamics flowing all the time, on the table, under the table, conscious, not conscious. And it's really important for HR people can know and observe what is happening, and therefore they can intervene. And finally, I just wish all HR people, when they get in a room, the people say, thank goodness he or she is here, the meeting going to be safe. And why would they say that? Because that HR person has the type of persona and presence that will tell people he or she will be reasonable, they are benevolent, they're always quite logical, but yet they are affiliative and they care about what's happening. And so in those 5 areas, if HR do a bit more learning in that and time to develop that, I think that just will make them magical. And the time comes now more than anything that HR need to be magical.